Hi, all you music lovers out there. My name is Andy Rodriguez. I'm also known as the Blackspinner. And today we've got a very special episode. Today we are going through my vinyl collection of the band Pink Floyd. And if you're new to our channel, what I do is I go through my record collection in alphabetical and in chronological order. And the last episode I did go through the P's through Q's, but Pink Floyd deserves to have their own episode. Just like the Beatles had their own episode, Deep Purple had their own episode, so did Bob Dylan, and a couple of others also had their own special presentation. So I'm going to do the same thing with Pink Floyd. And Pink Floyd came out of England. They started off as a four-piece band with Nick Mason on drums, Richard Wright on keyboards, Syd Barrett on lead guitar and lead vocals on most tracks, and also Roger Waters on bass. And what I have first for Pink Floyd is a compilation called A Nice Pair. And here is the album. And what A Nice Pair is, it's a double album. The first album is going to be their debut album, which was A Piper's at the Gates of Dawn, and their second album is on the second one, which is A Saucer Full of Secrets. And the inside has the covers kind of in a different color on paper. And also, if you're new to our channel, what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be going through key tracks of each album, so that people that are not familiar with the songs that I'm going to mention, maybe you can go back and look them up, and maybe you might find a new favorite song by a favorite band of yours. So Pink Floyd, here we go. On the Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, we are going to go through key tracks: Astronomy Domain, Lucifer Sim, Take Up the Stethoscope, and also on side 2, Interstellar Overdrive is a great track. I love that track. And The Gnome is really good. Scarecrow and Bike. This was a really good debut album. And a little tidbit, they recorded this at Abbey Road Studios next door to the Beatles when the Beatles were doing Sgt. Pepper. And in between breaks, the Beatles would go and poke their heads to see what Pink Floyd was doing, and vice versa. During breaks, Pink Floyd would go and poke their head to see what the Beatles were doing. They were very friendly with each other. And the second one was going to be A Saucer Full of Secrets. Now, A Saucer Full of Secrets is going to introduce us to a different guitar player, David Gilmour. And it's still going to have Syd Barrett on here. Syd Barrett does contribute very little to the second album. He will get sick at this time, and he will leave the band. But the remaining 4 that were left over are going to go on to greater things, and they will be intact for about the next 11 or 12 years. So let's get to it right here. Saucer Full of Secrets. I like A Saucer Full of Secrets a little bit more than Piper at the Gates of Dawn. There's the Harvest label there. And the songs that I like on here are Let There Be More Light, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. Corporal Clegg is a really good song. I really enjoy it. The aforementioned title track, A Saucer Full of Secrets, starts off side 2, which is almost a 12-minute long song, and it's fantastic. And this ends with Jug Band Blues, which was the only contribution that Syd Barrett did at this time. Now, what we have next is a movie soundtrack called More. This was a very seldom seen French movie that they did the soundtrack for. It's again on the Harvest label. Now, a lot of these songs are going to be background music, like what you would hear in a music score. But there are a handful of songs on here that are proper songs, and they are fantastic. Let's go through them. The Mile Song. The Mile Song is one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs. It might be their heaviest song ever. If you want to hear heavy, heavy Pink Floyd, look at Pink Floyd, The Mile Song. It's a tripped out song. You're like, wow, this is Pink Floyd. Yep. And also, Cymbeline is also a very good song. And Green is the Color is also a very good song. And the music on here is Pink Floyd music, what you would expect from them. And what I have here is a double album by Pink Floyd. It's called Enigma. I think I pronounced that right. It's called Enigma. And here's the inside of it, where you see the guys there. And this is an interesting album. Now, the reason why this is interesting is that it's a double album. And the double album on the first album, it's a live album by Pink Floyd. And it is of their early years. And the songs on here are Astronomy Don't Mind and Careful with That Axe, Eugene. And Set the Controls from the Heart of the Sun and A Saucer Full of Secrets. These songs are done a little bit different than on the original albums. It's a little bit louder and it's a little bit rougher and harder. So if you want to explore it, I would highly recommend it. Now, the second disc on this album, a lot of people complain about it. But I'm a Pink Floyd fan, so I don't complain about it at all. Now, what they do on sides 3 and 4, they give each band member room to come up with whatever they want. So if you're a fan or aficionado of keyboards, Richard Wright has his own space to do whatever he wants. Nick Mason, if you love drums and percussion, he's got his own space to do whatever he wants. If you're a guitar aficionado, you've got David Gilmour doing what he does on guitar. And then you've got a song that is sung by Roger Waters. So if you love Pink Floyd and you love their music, check this out. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people complain about that second disc, but I don't, because I really enjoy their music, and it's really something to hear those guys pretty much given the room and time to do whatever they wanted, and they did. They took advantage of it, and they sure did. And what I have next by Pink Floyd is Atom Heart Mother. Atom Heart Mother is a fantastic album by Pink Floyd. This will show you, this could be also called the beginnings of their classic period. They're not quite there yet. They need to edit. Believe me, they're going to have to edit. Because the title song, Atom Heart Mother, is about 23 minutes long. Still a good song. But you'll see it getting tightened up in the future. And you'll see it, and you'll hear it start to get a little bit more precise in their sounds. But Atom Heart Mother is a great album if you love Pink Floyd. There's the inside of it. Sometimes that gets in the way. You know what? If I put it right there, that looks better. So, okay. Right there. And there's the back of it. Everybody, if you're a Pink Floyd fan, that looks so familiar to you. But not this side. You know? It's pretty neat. And the songs on here, like I said, Atom Heart Mother takes up side 1 and side 2. If Summer 68 and Fat Old Son, all those 3 are great songs. The 4th song, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, I could do without. You know, the sound effects on it, bacon cooking and eggs frying and coffee being made, and every now and then they'll stick some music in there, but for the most of that song, it is breakfast being cooked and the sound effects of it. And what I have next is I wouldn't call it a greatest hits, but it's a compilation, Pink Floyd Relics. Now this is a different album cover than what we're used to seeing on Pink Floyd Relics. There's the back of it. And what this has are singles from their early years between 66 to 71. And this is going to have Arnold Layne, which is not released on any other album before this. And of course now, they're on different compilations, but it premiered first here on an album instead of the single. See Emily Play, Remember Our Day. This also has Interstellar Overdrive again. Careful with the Axe Eugene. And the Nile song is on here again. And Biding My Time and Bike. And also it has the dates of when these songs were produced. So, they're mainly done in between the dates of 67 and 69. So this is, really something to listen to if you want to get into that pre Dark Side of the Moon, or even pre Atom Heart Mother, that era in the late 60s of Pink Floyd. And I would highly recommend it if you're a Pink Floyd fan. You will love it, and you will really enjoy a different side of them. And what we have next here is Pink Floyd Meddle, Meddle. Here's the inside of it. That's awesome. I really like the inside with the black and white pictures of the guys. That really looks really on the packaging and the picture, and is really top notch. And the songs on here, Echoes. I mean, that's all you need to know, that this has echoes. It is about a 22-minute song, and it does take up all of side 2. But the difference between that song and Atom Heart Mother from the previous album that I showed you is that it is really tightened up. Even though it stretches 23 minutes, the sounds, it is, I believe it's almost a whole instrumental, I believe. No, it's not. It's not an instrumental. But the majority of the song is, and they really do tighten up the song very well. And also, One of These Days and Fearless. Fearless is a great song. And, this was done on Harvest. That was their label before they moved on from it. And what I have next from Pink Floyd is an album that is considered one of the greatest albums of all time. Also, you can probably hear every single song on classic rock radio. And the reason for that is because all the songs are great. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. I will talk about this when I do my top 20. Right now we are going to get in a period of Pink Floyd where they make 4 classic albums in a row. And not just classic albums, just top-notch. 4 iconic albums. Not just great, iconic albums in the world of rock that started. Dark Side of the Moon. Open it up. Looks fantastic. The inside of it looks like this. And also, this does have a couple of posters that came with it. It comes with this one with the guys on it. And then another poster, looks fantastic as well, is right here. What a treat for fans when they bought this album, to get posters like that. And let's get to the chase. Here we go. Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl. Fantastic album. Like I said, it is definitely my top 20 albums of all time. Let's get started. Speak to Me, Breathe, and On the Run. All that collides together. This whole album pretty much collides together, but especially those 3. And then it goes, you can hear the ticking of the clocks and going into one of my favorite songs of all time. Definitely might even be in my top 10 songs of all time. The song is called Time. Just the guitar solos on there. and it goes into the Great Gig in the Sky. The Great Gig of the Sky is I don't know, it's not an instrumental, but the guys don't sing on it, but they do have a woman just putting great vocals of pain and loss, is what I think of it, on there. And then it quiets down and goes into money. You just hear the cash registers going off. And then you got Us and Them, and then it goes into an instrumental called Any Color You Like. And then the conclusion, Brain Damage, goes into Eclipse. I mentioned every song on there because they have to be mentioned. This is just a fantastic album. I love it. I can't stop talking about it. The song Money has a great sax, and the sax goes straight into the guitar solo of David Gilmour. At this time, it kind of seems like David Gilmour might be taking over the band with his guitar playing, but he's not. He's not. He is in perfect place for these songs that are Roger Waters songs. But man, just to say, when they split and David Gilmour made a couple of solos, and the solo albums by Roger Waters, those guys, they were okay albums. Each of them had okay albums, but nothing to the magnitude of what they created together. And what we have here is Wish You Were Here. Another iconic album. There's the back of it. I've always loved that album cover, the shaking of the hands with a man on fire. And here's the inside of it with the lyrics. And this right there. A lot of people put this as one of their favorite albums by Pink Floyd, and I do too. Songs on here, Shine On You, Crazy Diamond, just epic. It's just fantastic. I just can't express how much I love Shine On You, Crazy Diamond. And of course, Welcome to the Machine. That can be heard on the radio at any given time on classic rock. Have a Cigar, same thing. That can be heard on the radio at any given time. Wish You Were Here, which is an acoustic song, but it's so beautiful. The words are hauntingly beautiful. It's great. I can't talk enough about this album. Wish You Were Here. I was going to put it on my top 20, but I'm trying to not put too many top 20s by one band. But if I didn't have that stupid rule that I put on myself, it will be on there. But this might be my third favorite Pink Floyd album, or fourth favorite. I don't know yet. Every day it changes for me. But yeah, Wish You Were Here. Just great. I can't talk about that enough. And what I have next is definitely my second favorite Pink Floyd album. It is Animals. Love this album. My uncle had it, and I would bother him almost every single day about this album, about how much I wanted it, until he finally relented and gave it to me. There's the back of it. There's the inside of it. There's the sleeve of the lyrics. Album. It's great condition. I played this a lot. This has one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs of all time. It's Dogs. Love the song Dogs. Can't express that enough. It is it 17 minutes long? I think it is about 17 minutes long, and I swear it does not feel that way at all. Every song on here is great. Pigs on the Wing, it starts off, it's a little acoustic, maybe 1 to 2 minute song, and goes into the epic song Dogs. So you flip it and you listen to pigs and sheep. And man, it's just the way that Roger Waters sings these songs. He sings most of them. I think Dogs is sung by Gilmour. I think. Don't quote me on that. Don't go around the whole world saying, "Oh, you know what? I think David Gilmour sings on Dogs." I'm not too sure, but I'm almost 100%, almost 100%. And it ends with Pigs on the Wing Part 2, and it's a great, perfect bookend for Pigs on the Wing. I love this album. You know, I've never seen Pink Floyd, of course, but I have seen Roger Waters. My cousin Carlos and my uncle and my cousin Jose. We went and saw. We saw him probably about 10 years ago when he came to Houston, and they were doing the they played Dark Side of the Moon from beginning to end, and it's just fantastic. And what I have next is an album that people think it's blown over and bombastic. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Love this album from beginning to end. There's not a weak point on this at all. There's the inside of it. The inside of it looks crazy because this album is crazy, beginning to end. Let's go through these songs. Wow. The inside has all the lyrics. Side 1. Yes, sir. Let's get to it. In the Flesh. The Thin Ice of Modern Life. Love that song. Another Brick in the Wall, Part 1. Happiest Days of Our Lives. Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2. All that, those 3 songs put together just sound like a big piece of music. Side 1 ends with a wonderful, wonderful song, Mother. Just sung so great by Roger Waters. Side 2, Goodbye Blue Sky, Empty Spaces, Young Lust, One of These Turns, Don't Leave Me Now. Don't Leave Me Now is one of the most haunting ballads you will ever hear. And if you've ever seen Pink Floyd, The Wall, which they make this into a movie as well, with cartoon imagery of the songs and also live action movie. And if you haven't seen The Wall, you owe yourself to watch it. But Don't Leave Me Now. It illustrates flowers in an animated way, and one overtaking the other flower and devouring it, and just killing it. And that's one of the best ballads I've ever heard. I don't know if it's an actual ballad or what the hell it is, but it's a hell of a song, I'll tell you that. And Another Brick in the Wall, Part 3 is just scary. And that goes into Goodbye Cruel World. It just feels, those 2 songs at the end just feel like death to me. You know, everybody interprets this album differently, and I interpret it my own way. It might not make sense to anybody else the way that I interpret The Wall. And now, of course, The Wall is a double album. It is a double album. And it starts off with a radio hit called Hey You. Then, Is Anybody Out There? And then to Nobody's Home. And then it goes to the beautiful song Vera, Bring the Boys Back Home. And it ends with Comfortably Numb. It just, side 3, when double albums are released, side 3 sometimes starts to go, oh, okay, not this. It's still full force ahead. Full force ahead. And even though it slows down a little bit, but it's still gripping. And it's, you know what? Sometimes The Wall can be my favorite Pink Floyd album. It can be. And side 4, it's an absolute schizophrenic mess. It's a mess. And it's a beautiful mess. The Show Must Go On, In the Flesh, Run Like Hell, Waiting for the Worms, Stop, The Trial, Outside the Wall. I mean, this album is just, it's gripping. This is a gripping album. I talk about my albums like they're movies. But that's because I enjoy listening to music more than watching a movie. Not that I don't mind watching movies, but, I prefer albums. After that, they come up with a final cut. From one of my favorite Pink Floyd albums to one of my least favorite albums. This is the final cut. This will be the last album that Pink Floyd will make together as those four that we've been talking about. You really have to be in the mood for this album. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not my favorite Pink Floyd album. And also, warning, do not play this at parties. Do not have a group of your friends that say, hey man, who wants to listen to Pink Floyd? And then do not pop this in. They will start leaving. The songs on here are The Post-War Dream. Your Possible Past is a really good song. I don't want to read them all. I was so used to reading the whole thing, all the songs from the last 3 albums, or 4 albums, really. But I just have to pick the album tracks on this one. The Gunner's Dream. The Final Cut is a good song. Not Now, John is okay. And the Fletcher Memorial Home. Yeah, you really, really have to be in the mood for this, and hear it alone. Don't bring buddies or your gal pals to listen to the Final Cut. So Roger Waters leaves, and he makes a couple of albums on his own. Pink Floyd comes out with A Momentary Lapse of Reason, and on this album you can tell that Roger Waters is gone. There's the inside of it. There's a lot of guest people on this album. A lot of people. And a couple of them that stick out. Well, Bob Ezrin, who produced this album, also plays on it. Carmen Appice plays drums on the side. Yeah, there's just quite a bit of people helping out here on this album. But still, you got Gilmour, Mason, and Wright being the main focals on here. The songs on here are okay. A couple of big hits. There's a paper sleeve for it with the lyrics. Learning to Fly was a really big hit for them. Now, I'm not saying that the songs on here are bad. A whole lot better than the Final Cut, I can tell you that. Learning to Fly, The Dogs of War, On the Turning Away, A New Machine Part 1, and Sorrow. This is a pretty good album, and I do have to admit, look, I'm going to go back to the Final Cut. Okay, just real quickly, you need to know that this is written exclusively by Roger Waters, and this does talk a lot about his father. His father died during World War II. World War II when he was just a boy. So, you know, if you wanted to, he can also write on here. Oh, he does for Eric Fletcher Waters from 1913 to 1944. So this is a very personal album for Roger Waters. Very personal. It's dedicated to his father. The whole thing is written for his father, about how he felt not growing up with his father and just remembering about his death. So, you know, that does need to be said. This is not a throwaway. It's a very personal album. That's why you don't... It's a very personal album, and it's not one that you jam to. That needs to be said. Just to go back to the Final Cut, again, it's hard to say that because of the subject matter of that album. The subject matter is very personal, it's very real, and I need to listen to it again. I know that it'll probably, but I don't listen to it that much. Okay, that's all. That's all I'm going to say about the Final Cut. It's not to be trashed at all. It's not to be trashed at all. Division Bell by Pink Floyd. This might be in my top 5 for Pink Floyd albums. I love the Division Bell. I just love it. From beginning to end, it's fantastic. The writing on here is top-notch writing. It does. The subject matter is different from what Waters does. This songwriting is a little bit more easily accessible, and this is on aqua vinyl, and this does have the lyrics to it. The songs on here starts off with an instrumental called Cluster 1, and then goes into this did have a couple of hit songs that were released on rock radio in the early 90s. This one was released in 94. What Do You Want From Me is a good song. Pulls Apart, Marooned is another instrumental. A Great Day for Freedom is a ballad. Lost for Words, High Hopes. Take It Back is a great song by them as well. Coming Back to Life is one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs, period. Coming Back to Life. Wearing the Inside Out. And Keep Talking. Yes, I did read every single song on here, because every single song is fantastic. This is without Roger Waters, and it should not be ignored. It was panned by critics and not by me. It's a great album. One of my favorite Pink Floyd albums, and I found out my cousin David, who lives up in Michigan, he also loves this album. I was like, oh wow, really? Because I haven't met anybody else, and it should be highly respected because it's a really good Pink Floyd album. And I really hope that you enjoyed this. That concludes my Pink Floyd albums. Next, we will be doing the letter R. And also, I'm going to have another episode with a special guest. My Uncle Rene will be here to be doing the Rolling Stone albums. That one will have their own episode. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed going through my Pink Floyd albums with me. And please leave a comment. And please subscribe to my channel. And also, you guys take care of each other out there and keep on rocking. And I'll see y'all next time. Blackspinner is out.